Alright, so this is going to be an unusual video for me. I was up real late talking to people about what's going on, and I get up, I get these video notices, Mark Connors, the Bikers for Trump are going out and doing some shit in response to the protest. Personally, I think it's probably an overreaction, but we don't know what's going on with these isolated incidents. Anyway, I gotta sleep in, and I'm gonna tell everybody that listens to me and my stuff, this thing's gonna peter out, because when these activists and all that, they get paid, at least the ringleaders get paid for this. The early protests were basically the Clinton victory parties that they were having around campuses. They were having these victory parties around campuses. These are a lot of the people who have been hired, recruited, supposedly through Craigslist ads, to do social activism, social justice warriors, and all that kind of stuff. So they were doing their various stuff throughout the election. They were recruited, they were being paid. At the end of the job, just like guys at the end of a construction job or whatever, they're going to have the end of the job party. If the money keeps flowing, then they keep doing, they'll keep doing things, they'll keep working. It's just a project completion party. If the money's not flowing, but there's a little left over, they get bonused a little, and that's kind of that. But these were basically the completion parties for the election work they were doing, and if it's either a victory party or a protest when it happens. So they decided to turn it into a protest, going to show their power, show their thing, because they could still all expect to have a career political future if they do this. Revolutions cost far more than elections. Soros is rich, but he doesn't have that kind of money. Basically, this is still one of the largest nations on earth. It still takes a tremendous amount of money and influence to just do an election. An election isn't something that's going to have a lot of death, damage, all that kind of stuff. I don't think these people are really going to volunteer to die over this stuff, because a lot of it's just not true. And so I don't think that this thing's going to go much further. A couple more days. It's going to peter out, and classes will start back up. All that kind of stuff, and it's going to be there. I'll find out what's going on with the shooting in Seattle, but I would really just tell people on the Patriot side of my end of things, chill out, bunker in. Want to argue with some people, but no, I think it is okay to take a break. It's not your job to go out and quell whatever, little fucking rabble-rousing these people are up to. If they're coming into your neighborhood and fucking with you, if they fuck with you personally or something like that, you see somebody beating down some poor little old lady in the street, that's a different, that's case by case, and you man the fuck up, But I don't think these people are, they don't have it for some big bad bloody revolution. There's probably going to be, 1 to 3 more of these little shooting incidents at a thing. I don't know if there'd be any organization to it, but somebody crosses a line with somebody's going to start shooting, and they don't want to take shit off of somebody. That kind of thing's going to happen. There'll probably be 1 to 3 more of those incidents. The question is whether or not any of them would be a mass casualty event. Whether or not somebody really goes off and you got serious bodies in the street. That not likely to happen, but it could happen. Regardless of what happens, you probably, for survivor types, you probably don't want to be around for that. I don't want to be around for that shit. I'm going to catch up on some sleep, but you probably don't want to be around for that shit. And, you want to think forest preservation, see what the sides sort out, all that stuff. You probably don't want to be around for those things. And I don't think they're all that hard to avoid. I've seen some protests. There are specific streets of parts of specific cities. It's just not all over the place. A lot of the people who get involved with that are going to get tagged one way or the other. And you don't want to be involved with that unless you're just 100% solid self-defense, you're in your home area type thing. If you traveled, if you road trip to another town and then you're involved with one of these incidents, somebody could say you were there on an operation, and that could lead to prosecution. If it's between your normal work, your normal living, or some other thing, then that's highly defensible, and you can see how something like that goes. The other issue to look at is what's more economically viable for sponsors of terrorism is specific pay to play for specific acts. And then they're going to be more economical about that. For example, real concerted, professional grade assassination attempts against Donald Trump. I think you probably need to look out for that shit. Real concerted, professional grade assassination attempts against more vocal supporters of Donald Trump. That, Hillary Clinton kind of has a record for people who were a political danger to her were ending up dead. Whether or not she was ordering that, or whether or not just somebody who considers themselves as owning her was ordering that, and then she kind of gets to have clean hands over that, but some handler, some owner is doing all of that. That remains a possibility. I think it's a main danger. I think if somebody were in charge of allocating assets on security type stuff, a lot of this protest in the street shit, this intelligence actions, there's a little bit of enforcement action that's obviously needed at that. It's kind of a local law enforcement level thing. What you got to be worried about is professional assassination attempts, even aspiring professional assassination attempts, and it's not just Donald Trump. It would be people who want to lay the blame on somebody who was involved with a campaign. Somebody tried to take a shot at Alex Jones. Somebody who felt some of these other people that were, bigger supporters of Donald Trump. Somebody might try to make a move in that, and that's something to look out for. Anyway, I'll catch some sleep and get with you guys a few hours or something.